So I've just flung together some slides and hopefully they sort of flow. So when you're not part of a central agency, so Office of Environment and Heritage is not a central agency, so we don't set policy for New South Wales Government agencies and departments. You're often thrown policy and then told to go forth and implement it. And in our case, the New South Wales ICT strategy, Digital Plus, has sort of three sections that I suppose are of interest to us today, and that's the New South Wales Information Management Framework, New South Wales Open Government, and New South Wales Open Data Policy. And this is what sort of drives the work that we've been doing within OEH, and now more broadly, my IT department now provides services to the whole cluster, which has been a good thing for information management. So we were sort of told, you know, I won't bother going to explain open government. We know what that is, and we generally understand open data policies. The principles seem to be the same across the board. But this is the New South Wales Information Management Framework. It's got sort of 7 domains in which we work under. All the pieces underneath are all the bits that each department or each cluster through their agencies are meant to be implementing. So it's useful in terms of it sets direction, but none of it tells you how to do it. It tells you that you need a custodianship policy. It tells you that you need metadata standards. It tells you all of these things, but it doesn't give you the means to be able to do it. And for us, more recently, about 2 years ago, we went through a restructure, and as part of that restructure, it recognised that we needed an enterprise approach to information management. In the past, it had been very siloed, so our science division, who were clearly very strong in data collection and to a certain extent data management, did it relatively well. But then you'd have other parts of the organisation, like national parks, who have all sorts of information assets but don't actually organise it. It sits on their external drive, or it sits on their share drive, or wherever it is, but there was no way of understanding what we had, what was the quality of it, whether it was managed or any of those sorts of things. For this enterprise approach, you meant that there was a central spot to sort of determine how we would work together with the business to do it. And I suppose, that became sort of our mantra about what we were trying to achieve within our organisation. When you combine that with open data and open government, it does two main things in an organisation. Part of the organisation goes, this is really exciting. We want to get our information out there. We want to share. We can see the value in it. And then the other part of the organisation goes, oh, that's so risky. I don't want to put data out there. What about the media? What if somebody misuses it? All those sort of, I suppose, to a certain extent, myths around open data. So that's where governance, which is part of the information management framework, became really important, because it allowed us to show executives, those people who were concerned about risk, that the data was managed properly and that we had the right frameworks in place to ensure that we could minimise risk, maximise efficiencies and effectiveness of it, but also get the business value out of it as well. But again, that's all well and good, and we did a lot of work to develop those things. So we got ourselves a governance framework around custodianship and stewardship. We did a data quality framework, so we understood what were the sort of components that we needed to describe our data from a data quality perspective. So that was part of the work, but then we needed a tool to allow people to be able to do it, and that for us is where CKAN came in with the Information Asset Register, and then our open data portal. And I'll just go, that quickly is our governance sort of structure, and we needed a way to reflect that. That was implemented and was easy for people to understand, but also meant that we had a governance over how we released our data. So I'll just show you. That's not it, that's another portal. My mantra at the moment is saving the world one portal at a time, because we seem to be proliferating them everywhere. So this is our information asset register. One of the really nice smarts for us on this was, you know, nobody wants another login at work. And so we're federated with our Active Directory. So that means I can just log in. It recognises who I am. It automatically applies what administration rights I do or don't have, and determines what I can see and do in our information asset register. Our organisation is really spatial. So for us, it was really important to have a spatial search. All of our metadata statements will have a boundary box on it to sort of say, you know, where the data, what the data represents. So you can very quickly just do a search on that, or you can enter it this way. We had to do quite a lot of work on accessibility as well, so that was quite nice. We suffer the same problem with search, and you know, so we're very interested in sort of how we can refine our search a little bit, because you know, 2,000 assets found there, and part of the problem with that is that when we have a, I don't know, a policy or something as one of our information assets, the bounding box is from New South Wales because it covers New South Wales, so it automatically gets picked up, but it's not actually relevant. So anyway, you know, so people can go and search, find information, understand what we have. What we're also doing now is we're adding more organisations to here. So my cluster, Planning and Environment, has something like 17 different agencies and statutory bodies in it. And at the moment, I can't see what EPA has. I can't see what Planning and Environment has. I can only see what OEH has. So we're now building into this different organisations that will be able to have their own version of the information asset register, and I'll be able to search across the Planning and Environment cluster. There's been a really big push in New South Wales Government, the government agencies, to be able to share and understand what each other has, and this information asset register will be the first cross-cluster one that allows the cluster to see what we have. So it's becoming really, really powerful for us. It's allowing us to tick boxes in implementing policy everywhere, but it's also showing the effectiveness of the policy and bringing business benefits. Now, the best thing about this really is, for me, is about how we're implementing governance and data quality statements and metadata, so some rigour around how we manage our data, and trying to make it really easy for users to, you know, quickly go through this process. So to begin with, we worked through a number of questions that identifies it as a high value information asset, and that just really determines how many fields you need to fill out. And you know, there's a few other questions there. We go into, you know, these standard descriptions about data sets, but also what we're attempting to do here is we have, I don't know, 17 services that we provide the public. We want to be able to attribute our assets to those services. So then we understand what data is used to help us make decisions about how we deliver that service, and what is the actual cost of service. So at the moment, we know how many people, FTEs, go towards a service. We know how many barbecues in a national parks go towards a service. But we're not actually saying this data set costs us X amount per year to maintain, and that contributes to the asset. So when we go for funding, we don't have to battle and say, look, we really need money to maintain this data set. It's really important. We know it's important because it's there. So that's something sort of new for us. We're going to go into an asset that's already had all this stuff done, so I can quickly sort of show you some things. So, in here, it shows that there's 5 different areas we can work on: the information asset details, the metadata statement, obviously your resources, but your data quality statement. I'll just show you that quickly. What's nice about this, it's all in the one spot. People don't have to go all over the place to manage their information. The data quality statement, it's just as easy as ticking a few boxes. Gives you an overview of your data quality score. And, you know, Bob's your uncle. If I want to find out all our data sets and what the quality is, if I can look through, we've got that for each of our data sets, so it's a really nice overview. In here as well, we do have the ability to decide whether it goes out to the public or not. There's a little thing that we just say yes or no. That sends off a workflow where then it gets approval by the appropriate person and it gets pushed through to our open data portal. Yeah. It's very similar in the way that you search and discover and all those sorts of things. This one doesn't have a viewer, a spatial viewer. It's something that we're looking at. But what I will show you is something else that we've been working on as a whole of government environmental data portal, which uses CKAN as its metadata engine. This came out of a review by the chief scientist into coal seam gas. It said we need all our coal seam gas data into one spot. It's really hard to find. Yeah, put it in here. Ironically, still finding and getting the coal seam gas data out of government departments was really hard, even from within government. But you know, that's just how it is. So the mapping we have on this one is Jira Cortex. It you know, it's sort of a out of the box application that allows us to select multiple data sets once you know what they are, and then view it on the map. Now, the reason we chose Jira Cortex was that it was sort of part of our enterprise architecture for the agency that's going to manage it. But also it has quite a lot of smarts in it that allows people to add polygons, you know, interrogate points, do all that sort of stuff. You can add more data from the portal. It just takes a while to load. Gives us a whole lot of flexibility in the way that we do things. So as you can see, it's loading stuff. Yeah, I can add another search for another data set if I wanted to. They come up there. I can also view the metadata. Comes up on another page, but you can go into detail. You can have a look at the tables. You can export the tables from the spatial data set, from the map. You can edit on top of the map. So if you wanted to draw something on there and sort of say, I don't know, this looks really bad or something like that, and export it as well. So the thing about this portal, most of the data sets in here are all web services, which is a change, say, to our open data portal at OEH, which is anything goes, basically. There's no quality in terms of, we've got shape files, PDFs, CSVs, whatever it is, whereas this one is far more dynamic. But what it did show us was that it's how immature government departments are in terms of how they publish their data sets. Okay, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done, I think, so that data can be more easily accessible, it's great to have things like CKAN, it's great to have, viewers like National Map and all of those sorts of things, but there's a lot of work that has to happen from an information management perspective and the publishing of data. But I think things like the Information Asset Register really bring that along, and has for us. So yeah, that's us putting policy into practice using CKAN.